Bonnie.
And Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde. You've probably heard of them, but do you know their real story? Find out today.
In this episode of Talking with Kathy, you will see interviews from Bonnie and Clyde and others.
Sponsored in part by Cheerios.
Hi, my name is Kathy. I'm here today with Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow. We are going to talk about some things. Our first guest will be Clyde Barrow.
Hello there, and thank you for having me today.
Yes, and thank you. My first question for you is that I was wondering, what was your life like before you met Bonnie?
Well, my life before Bonnie had been very rough. When I was a child, my father and mother hardly ever had enough money to feed me and my 8 siblings. My mother, Tommy Barrow, worked as a tenant farmer, and so did my father, Henry Barrow. I was often sent to my relatives' house because sometimes we were so tough. When I was 12 years old, my parents gave up tenant farming and moved to West Dallas, and my father owned a gas station. My brother and I were often in trouble with the law. We had to steal turkeys and sometimes cars to be able to go around town.
Thanks. My next question is, what was your family life like?
Well, I kind of explained that in the last question, but in a nutshell, my family life was distant, and we weren't that much of a family. As I said, my brother and I were looking for out.
My next question is, are you and Bonnie a couple? Everyone's asking.
Why, yes we are. We are madly in love, and I believe that we will be for a very long time.
My last question for you is,
I had 2 serious girlfriends before I met Bonnie, but I had never been married. As I said, our connection was intimately prominent. One of my girlfriends was Annie. I met her in 1925 at Forest Avenue High School in Dallas. She was still a student. Despite our situation, I proposed to her, and we were engaged. To show her my lady had her name tattooed on my arm. After that, we had an argument, and soon after we split up. My second girlfriend's name was Gladys. I met her in Wichita Falls. I also had a lot of love for her and had her name tattooed on my other arm. Gladys didn't approve of Ann's name on my other arm, though Gladys wanted things that I could not afford, and she left me for that. I think that you can't buy love.
thank you for your time today.
You're welcome, Kathy.
Oh.
Our next guest is Bonnie Parker.
Thank you for having me here today.
My first question is, what was your life like before you met Clyde?
My life before Clyde was not as I would have liked it to be. I was engaged to a man, but he was sent to jail for a murder that he committed. I was heartbroken.
Well, that's sad. My next question is, what was your family life like?
Well, I had 2 siblings. I was the middle child. After my father died unexpectedly, my mother moved us to Cement City, Texas.
Another question for you is that I'm asking if you and Clyde are a couple.
Well, yes, we are. We met at a mutual friend's house in January of 1930, and our chemistry was instantaneous. We are madly in love, and I believe that we will be for a very long time.
My last question for you is, what is your life like with Clyde?
Well, as I'm sure you know, we are criminals. We rob banks, murder people, and steal lots of things. We live out of our car, and we have to steal most of our food. We run from the law, but the best thing is that I get to spend time with the love of my life.
Some people are wondering what your poems are. Could you tell a part of one of your poems?
Sure. I made a poem called The Trail's End. I'll read you a passage from that. Now, Bonnie and Clyde are the Barrow Gang, as I'm sure you all have read. How they rob and steal, and those who squeal are usually found dying or dead.
Thank you for your poem and for your time today, Bonnie. We hope to see you again.
Well, thank you.
Next, we will show you some FBI files that have been recovered about the Bonnie and Clyde case.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Hi, I'm Dr. Paula Payne from Mercy International. Childhood obesity. Don't take it lightly.
Where should we eat today, Eileen? I think we should go to McDonald's. It's my kind of shopping spree.
Okay, let's go. Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut Pizza.
Ba-da-da-da-da, I'm loving it.
Next, we will show you some FBI files that were discovered about Bonnie and Clyde. These were made shortly after Bonnie and Clyde started their murderous pursuit. Hi, I'm Agent Warner. I'm going to talk about Bonnie and Clyde. We became interested in through a singular piece of evidence. A Ford automobile had been stolen, and from abandoned artifacts, we found out who it was who stole the car. We recovered a prescription bottle that was traced back to Clyde Barrow's aunt. The FBI then started their hunt for this elusive couple. We got that information from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and we give special thanks to Agent H. Warner. Next, we talk to Clyde's ex-girlfriends, Gladys and Ann.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So, what are your thoughts on Clyde, Ann?
Well, I was pretty tight with Clyde, and I kind of regret leaving him. He looks pretty happy now. He was always the rebellious type, and I kind of figured he would do this kind of stuff.
Thanks. So, Gladys, what are your thoughts on Clyde?
Well, I really do think that Bonnie is a bad influence on Clyde. I always did like him, but he was so poor. I think he's only doing this for her. Overall, I don't like Bonnie at all.
Thanks, ladies.
Anytime.
See ya!
Well, that pretty much wraps up our show. Thanks for joining us for this interesting episode of Talking with Kathy.
This video was made possible by viewers like you.